journey started a long time ago with a relationship in college, and I like to share my story for women because I think it's important to talk about how it can start at a young age. Domestic violence. In 2000, so my story, just like everyone else's, we grew up in a two-person family. My parents were very loving. My mother is a licensed counselor. My dad is a retired basketball coach, very involved. They were present. When I talk about it in therapy, I can't quite pinpoint like what happened there, but it was just I had the family that you did not expect that to happen. I do say that I was sheltered. My parents provided everything for me. I didn't really need anything. I was able to do a lot of things growing up. And when I graduated from high school, I went to college. I stayed here, went to Xavier, full scholarship. So I had that experience and was living at home. But my mom always says, and she kids with me, that I went crazy, went buck wild. You go to college, I'm at Xavier, I'm going to parties, I'm doing all these things. I had a little shape on me. So it's like I'm out hanging out, House of Blues, Whispers, all that stuff. And I met a guy who, came up to me. He was very confident, and, it was like we exchanged numbers, and after that, just communicated. But it was, I felt like for him, it was more of like just the game, or just I wasn't playing hard to get, but it was like I was in school, and he didn't go to Xavier. Obviously, he wasn't in any of my classes. He wasn't in college, but he was one of those guys that was just out there hanging out, can bring you places, bring you to lunch, take you out, shower you with gifts. I'm in college, I'm not working. So it was, that's how it started. And he was a nice guy, just, how much is your tuition? I got that, don't worry about it. I mean, obviously, he was involved in things that would allow him to be able to pay college tuition like that back in 2000. But it just, it started from there, and it became a little bit controlling, where, you're going out, where are you going? Why are you hanging out with them? Well, we could go here, we could do this, we could do that. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, fine, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with you. So it was the little signs then. It was like control. I never had anybody that really wanted to spend all their time with me, or, get whatever I asked them, or and do all these things. So I never really started to see the flags, and then people would tell me, don't mess with him, like he's no good. And then, they're like, of course they're gonna tell you that. They can't be with me, so of course they're gonna, so it's the mind games. You start with the mind games, and you start all that. So now I'm at pharmacy school, actually pre-pharm, where I'm studying and I'm in the library, and I stayed to myself a lot because I'm trying to study. And so he was basically monopolizing my time between studying and being with him. So that became like my work, right? So I'm isolated already. That's how the isolation begins. So then it's like, hey, you don't have to stay by your mom's house. I'm gonna give you an apartment. Like, here, you can have this or whatever, do whatever you want. So of course I'm thinking, wow, I don't work. I don't have to worry about anything. I have my own place. So slowly but surely, he was beginning to pull me away. Now, there was no physical abuse at this time. It was just more just controlling and just isolating me. And one day things just took a turn, and we had a discussion. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like just a little disagreement or an argument or something, and he hit me. And I had never been hit in my life. Like, my parents didn't even spank me. So for me, I was like, oh my God, this guy just hit me. And he was apologetic, immediately. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, whatever. And, what do you need? What do you, let me make sure you're okay. And it was just, that's where it started. And for me, it's like, you think back hindsight, I should have left then. But unless you're in the situation, you have no idea, what goes on from there. So this was 2000, 2001. So things started to progress. Again, I was isolated from my family. So now think about it. I'm in pharmacy school. Graduated in 2003, so I'm still in pharmacy school in the middle of everything, doing rotations. I'm being physically abused on a regular. So I'm isolated from friends. I played the sorority. In 1998, we were all close, and then I just fell off. I fell off the map. I would go to school, go to my classes, come home. That was it, just come home. And I was working. Some days I couldn't go to work because I had a black eye, and a lot of people didn't know. But what was surprising to a lot of people was that I went through the entire my entire pharmacy those last years, and nobody knew. Like, I was isolated from my parents. I stopped seeing my parents in, I think, 2001, 2002. Like, I live in New Orleans, but my parents never saw me. Like, I hadn't seen my parents in years. I was working. My parents used to have to come, and I used to work at Rite Aid in Kenilworth, and my parents would just come in there just to see me, you know. But I was isolated from this, so that's how deep it got. Like, it was, you know, where my mom was hearing from people, you know, I saw your daughter today. Like, I was completely isolated. I did not talk to them. I didn't, you know, they would have to find out about me from other people. So of course it was the physical abuse, emotional abuse. Then, you know, it really got violent, where guns were involved. Where it's like I wanted to leave one day, and he called my parents, and my parents heard me screaming. He was like, I'm gonna just shoot her right here. So screaming. You know, they didn't know where I was. They had no address on me. So this is how I lived my life, like from 2000 to Katrina, right? So 2005, Katrina hit, and for me, I felt like that was like my great escape, y'all. Like, I was like, oh God, like, you know, the hurricane's coming. I know a lot of people are like, you know, we're losing everything, but that was like my chance, like, to run, right? So I ended up leaving and going to Houston, and he found me. Now that's one thing I can tell you. An abuser, if they want you,
they're gonna find you.
They will go through hell and high water. So ended up being in Houston, was working for CVS. He started coming in the store, started stalking me. Anybody that I got close to, he would, you know, harass them. So it was my employers were like, who is this man? Like, this man is crazy, right? It just escalated. It just escalated to a point where I couldn't do anything. He was involved with a pretty bad crowd here in New Orleans. So it was kind of like, at this point, I'm in. You know, abuser will use everything to keep you there. So you get involved in things that, you know, that are basically criminal, right? So where it's like, oh, you could lose everything. Like, I can take everything away from you. So that went on for a while, and I remember 2008. I remember going, and we talk about God and how you pray. Like, I remember praying, because it was to the point where I was like, I knew he was gonna kill me, and it was like I didn't care no more. At that point, I was like, I don't care. Like, you can kill me or whatever. I mean, I've been through everything. I had U.S. Marshals come knocking on. This is the type of person I was dealing with, where the U.S. Marshals would come in, SWAT, like that kind of person. So it was to the point where, you know, if he killed me, he killed me. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. But I went to church, and St. Jude Church, actually, on Rampart. I love it. It's Our Lady of Guadalupe. And I remember lighting a candle, and I was like, God, I'm just ready. Like, I'm ready to go. And I lit the candle, went home, packed like 2 things, because you can't, like, I mean, it's just like in a movie, y'all. You know, you can't like take everything, right? So I had a house. So I mean, he was in a house with me. So it was a house that I purchased. It was in my name, in East Over. Packed 2 things and left. Got in the car and left the house. I mean, obviously the house went in foreclosure, but I left with just those things and pulled up to my parents. Now, can you imagine driving to your parents' house who have not seen you in years? To where it's like they open the door and it's like, you know, come home. So for me, it was like, okay, this is it. I left.
Right.
But it doesn't end there. A lot of people think, okay, you leave your abuser, you know, you're out of the situation, it's good, everything is all good. Now you gotta remember, I'm dealing with someone who is violent and who is, you know, very controlling. So my life from that point, I'm away from the abuser, but it still didn't end. You know, they still want to control me. He can't physically abuse me anymore. He can't emotionally abuse me anymore, but they start attacking everything around you. To the point where I had to move. For my parents' safety, I left their house and ended up living in Baton Rouge by someone else so that he could not find me. I ended up getting a restraining order on him. He was served in a restraining order and found me to tell me he got it. So this is the type of abuser that I dealt with. And, you know, I'm dealing a lot with the court systems here. We've talked about it, and you see it a lot on the news. And, you know, I cry every time I see someone who ends up being murdered by their abuser because of the system. Like, this man was served a restraining order and came to me to tell me he got it. So that meant nothing to him. And I ended up going through the court system trying to get restraining orders. He knew at the time I was a pharmacist, so I had graduated. And he was like, I'm going to get everything back. I paid help you with school. I did this. You owe me. So it was more of, now you owe me. It was, I'm going to take you down. So from that point on, he filed like all types of reports, like with the Board of Pharmacy, to try to get me to lose my job. He had kids. It got to the point where he alleged that I sexually abused his son. So I had police knocking on my door, questioning me. I had to hire an attorney. So I went through all of those things because that was his way to try to get to me, and all he would say was, just come back. That'll all go away, just come back. And I just kept going. I was like, you know what? I don't care. What's that movie, like Antoine Fisher? Like, I was like, I don't care. Like, whatever, I didn't care. But he did everything, all those things, to try to break me down. And I will forever advocate for the justice system here, because I ended up going through one of the nonprofits to get like someone to help me. And to this day, I'm like, if I see this woman, God help her. To this day, she was like, he's gonna file a restraining order against you. You have a job, you have a career, you want to be able to renew your license, just drop it. Just drop his and he'll drop yours. So I ended up dropping it. And we got something that was called like a civil injunction or whatever, but which really means nothing. But I look at it at that point, like, this lady, I could have gotten killed, because she was like, hey, so thank God I didn't, but my abuser moved around the corner from me after that. Like, okay, I'm gonna see you every day. I'm very crazy every day. So it just, from that point on, it was like, that was what I dealt with. And then, I told the stories. People have seen me abused out in public. Like, it was to the point where he would just hit me in the store. I had our pharmacy manager. He ended up being my dad. He was like, you know what? I'm your daddy. He ain't coming in here with that. I'm your daddy. So, just being able to speak to that and just let people know that that's what it looks like. I have my old bosses who never knew. Like, I'm just sharing that with them now, because now they're starting to put the pieces together. They're like, you just never came back to work. I couldn't. I had a black eye. I'm working at Methodist Hospital. I can't come. So I just left jobs, and it was just a journey that I continue to be on. It was actually 16 years on October 15, 2008 for me that I left. And this abuser, every year he does message me or finds me to let me know, every year. So he really is, he says I'm the one that got away. Yeah. But so it just continues. That just shows the cycle. Like, abusers will continue. Like, I'm the only one. He's abused several women, and I know, and I've tried to speak with them, but a lot of people don't want to hear it. But he continues to try to control me, but he can't. And I just continue to speak out and just share information. I mean, he's always said, "I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm proud of how you are thriving." But I do want to share that the way that God works is, while I was going through like a lot of the legal issues, where I'm telling you, like, I have not been in trouble in my life, but all the things that he's done, I've been interrogations. I was getting ready to be put in a federal witness protection program. I met my husband, my late husband, who was an attorney. So, he was there helping me and with all the things and just navigating the system. And, unfortunately, I was on my healing journey, and I found him, and I prayed, and, he helped me. But he passed in December of 2019. But I say all that to say is, I feel like the journey that I've started with, like, I'm where I am today because of all the things that I experienced. I know a lot of people are surprised at like my resilience and how I'm open and share my story and I'm inspiring people, but I feel like what I went through then kind of prepared me for where I am today. And I know that navigating future relationships, like, I know what to look for, and I know that I have whatever that's inside of me now, it's like I know nobody can touch that or nobody can break it down. So.
Good job.